What's up, everybody? Welcome back to MELANIN Militant. This is episode 25 titled Divorcing Democrats. This is a topic I've been waiting to do for a really long time, and what better time than right now with the 2020 presidential election seemingly right around the corner. As always, guys, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And today I'm not wearing any black-owned apparel, but my best friend Kendra started a Instagram page called My Black Freelancer. It's meant to highlight any black freelance worker in your area, so I will put that in the description down below. Please go check out that Instagram page, give it a follow, and tag any black freelance worker that you may know in your area. All right, so to begin this point I'm trying to make, we gotta take a little stroll down memory lane. For those who don't know, black people were not always predominantly Democrat in this country. The shift from Republicans to Democrat began in 1920 when Republican politicians refused to run on any form of civil rights legislation, and Northern Democrat politicians were using civil rights legislation to gain more votes. This gave black people in America all the motivation that they needed to switch parties. Now, fast forward to the early 90s, and Republican politicians like George H.W. Bush are running on race-based fear-mongering techniques to garner more support. Prime example is the campaign ad featuring Willie Horton he ran when he was campaigning against Democrat Mike Dukakis. So in the Willie Horton ad, it talks about a black man who was convicted of murder, and he was afforded the opportunity to participate in a weekend work furlough program, basically meaning from Monday to Friday he was in prison. On Saturday and Sunday he got to go work a job and then report back to prison. On one of these weekends that he was out, he ended up raping a white female and stabbing her husband, and the weekend furlough program was set in place in the state of Massachusetts, where Mike Dukakis was governor at the time. So Bush used this incident with Willie Horton basically to imply that Democrats were soft on crime, and that he would make sure, once president, that thugs like Willie Horton would be locked up. And basically he wanted white Americans to see all black people as inherently criminal, and he wanted to associate black people in America with these types of crimes. And it actually ended up working, because after that ad ran, Mike Dukakis slipped in the polls, and he went on to lose the presidential election to George Bush Sr. So how would Democrats respond? Bush Sr.'s run as president came to an end in '93, and Bill Clinton, a Democrat, was his successor. So to undo the stigma of Dems being soft on crime, Bill Clinton and the rest of the Democratic Party introduced the '94 Crime Bill. For those who don't know, the '94 Crime Bill was a $30 billion plan meant to lock up black and brown people, over-police black and brown neighborhoods, hand out sentences that would dismantle minority communities for years and years, and have long-lasting effects. And it actually still stands as the largest crime bill in the history of this country to this day.
To this day! To this day!
Thank you, Deontay. So under the '94 Crime Bill, we had laws like truth in sentencing, which meant you had to serve at least 85% of your sentence before you were eligible for parole. You had mandatory minimum sentencing, meaning for a specific crime, the judge must hand out a predetermined amount of time to be served, and judges are bound to this. They cannot, there's no wiggle room. Whatever, that crime says you have to serve is what you have to serve. There's no discretion on the part of the judge due to this law. And most famously, the three strikes law, meaning once a person has committed their third violent felony or crime, they are sentenced to life in prison. And the list goes on and on about how this one piece of legislation by Democrats destroyed black people's lives in this country and contributed to the already ongoing mass incarceration. So you might be wondering today's relevance when Democrats wrote this bill nearly 25 years ago. Well, some of the top candidates for the Democratic nomination co-wrote and or sponsored this bill. And I'm talking about Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. So these two have an overwhelming amount of support from black people, as if the crime bill never happened. And, Bill Clinton, we loved and praised him for years after signing the bill, and jokingly called him the first black president just because he wore Ray-Bans and played the saxophone, and I just don't understand it. And you have another Democrat nominee who supported racist laws that were targeting black and brown people, and I'm talking about Mayor Michael Bloomberg. Now, he's no longer in this race, but Again, an overwhelming amount of support from black people. He oversaw stop and frisk laws that were in place when he was the mayor, and these laws resulted in a significant amount of black and brown people being stopped and harassed and falsely accused of crimes or falsely accused of being involved with crime with very little probable cause and basically no real rhyme or reason. And Bloomberg has not backed down with the implementation of stop and frisk laws, saying that the crime rate was dramatically lower, which it was, and it cannot be denied. But the rhetoric associated with the laws by Bloomberg are also highly prejudicial, blatantly prejudicial, and highly problematic. So in 2012, Bloomberg said it targeted kids who walked around looking like they had a gun. Now, excuse my language, but who the you think those kids are that he's talking about? In 2015, Bloomberg said 95% of the murderers fit one description: male minorities ages 15 to 25. It's virtually true in any city. Normally, I would do my own research and go get the actual percentage of what this number to compare to what he said, but I don't need to, because common sense would tell anybody that what he said right there is absolutely false. Bloomberg even went on to say that he thinks that white people are stopped too much and minorities not stopped enough. That tells me everything I need to know about Mayor Michael Bloomberg. Now back to what I was saying about Bloomberg having so much support from the black community. In a general election involving voters who were anti-Trump, not voting for Trump, Bloomberg actually had 91% of support from black voters. Now, it's not like Trump is any better, but good Lord, how can, a guy like Bloomberg, who has a history, with laws like stop and frisk and saying the things he said, how can he have just that much support from the black community? And don't even get me started on how Bloomberg doubled down on, the things he said, but then right before he officially announced his campaign for the presidency, I believe he took all those things back and then showed up at a black church just thinking like, oh, it's all cool. I'm showing up at the church with black folk, we in there, we out here. Like, bro, we see you. We know what you're doing. So, kill that noise. So 3 of the 6 candidates, well, I guess you could say now 2, have on the Democratic side have long ties to racist policies. This is a big reason why I think I won't even vote in 2020. Like I said, people keep talking about this whole lesser of two evils thing. I see evil on both sides. And I know black people died for my right to vote. They got beaten, sprayed with water hoses. They got bit by, police dogs for my right to vote. But the thing is, and I understand that I should make the choice before the choice is made for me. However, what does it even matter if the person I'm going to vote for isn't going to do anything specifically for black people anyway? All Democrats do the same thing. They have this formula for years. They've talked about how Republicans want to take our voting rights away, take our civil rights away, yada, yada, yada. And some of that is true. And I've covered some of that in previous videos. That's absolutely true. But they all just know that they can kind of hit those buttons and that we'll just come out in numbers, in great numbers, and vote for them. And nothing gets done specifically for black people. We've been getting politically pimped out by Democrats for the same years. They talk about these things that they know will ring to us, they know will resonate with us, but then when it comes time to actually do something for us, they're nowhere to be found. But I'm not shocked by it. I understand why. I know why. I know that I understand this game. They're told that they can't run, let alone win the presidency on promising a black agenda. I haven't heard one word from Bernie, Biden, Warren, any of them about what they will do specifically in terms of advancing the lives of black people and righting the wrongs that this country has done to us. You see the way Bernie reacts when he gets asked about reparations. He says things like, well, what does reparations look like? Again, I try not to cuss on my channel, but what the do you think reparations looks like, Bernie? Come on, man. Pete Buttigieg, he talked about a program named after Frederick Douglass. I don't know the specifics of it, but even if he was to win, when he got in office, would he actually follow through with it? Nobody's really doing it for me when I listen to any of them. No one is saying anything that really resonates with me. Like I said, the whole reparations question, when they get asked about that, we get the whole all lives matter, the black agenda is America's agenda, or the rising tide lifts all boats type of talk. And it's really just political jargon to answer a question so that it sounds appealing, but without actually answering the question. These Democrats need to do something specifically to earn the black vote. They need to put some respect on our votes, if you will. You know, I'm not coming out to vote just to be let down 4 or 8 years later, just like I was with once Obama left office. And I'm not saying that black people shouldn't vote Democrat. I'm just saying, you know, these are the reasons that I may not vote, you know. But I wanted to put these things out there into people's minds so that they can too consider them before they go out and vote. I think all in all, what I'm trying to say is that we have to stop romanticizing the relationship between black people in America and the Democratic Party. Our allegiance and loyalty shouldn't be to them. Their loyalty should be to us, and then our loyalty should be to ourselves and other black people. They work for us. They are public servants. So you should be voting based off of your values and your beliefs, not just because, oh, you know, that's the Democrat that's running and that's what we've done for so long. That's not how it's supposed to go. Because for so long, maybe even since the civil rights movement, we haven't even made, you know, much progress. And another reason I feel that I might not even vote is because I've been under Obama, who was a Democrat, and now Trump, who was a Republican. And I've yet to see any drastic change for the lives of black people. This is why I say things like work woke and talk about putting knowledge into action, putting your money into black businesses and black-owned banks, and, you know, saying that we have the tools that we need to liberate ourselves. So I think it's about time that we use them. You know, the blueprint has been laid out for us by our ancestors, by Dr. King, Malcolm X, the Panthers, etc. You know, so I don't see myself sitting around hoping and wishing and praying that some politician is gonna do, you know, one thing, wave a magic wand and drastically change the lives of black people, change the landscape of black America. And primarily, the primary reason I believe that, to quote Dr. Boyce Watkins, a proud black man and a finance professor, somebody that I follow as somewhat of a mentor figure, he said, "It is fundamentally flawed to depend on the descendants of your historical oppressors to better your life." And this is why I believe black people need to divorce Democrats. Thanks for watching.